Hey, this is Judah Mantel for SceneForge Studio, and in this video I'm going to go over version 0.8.12 of SceneForge Studio at its new home under viewstudio.network. A lot of these changes behind the scenes will be gone over in an email blog update that you'll get shortly, as well as how to access the app from this version on, and other changes that will affect you as a user of the product. But this video is completely aside from that. It's going to go over the actual interface changes that come along with that migration that will hopefully make your life a lot easier as you work with the app. All the information from previous tutorials will still carry over. This video will sort of act as a guide for where things are moving forward and how to access them, as well as an overview of the quality of life improvements that come with this update. Now, the first thing you'll notice in the app is that the left side icon menu has now been expanded to a much more detailed and user-friendly, in my opinion, full menu with two tabs up at the top. Now, these tabs are separated into visuals, which includes everything from effects as well as actual scene geometry, and then the library tab, which has all of your objects, your materials, as well as the way to import content from here. So on the visual side of things, we have all of our same scene control for the sky settings and all that stuff, but we also have a button to open up the color grade menu and the terrain editing menu, because these are all things that are part of the look of the scene. Previously, those two things were their own buttons on the side, and this just makes it a little more clear what they actually do. Now, the other smaller icons that were on the bottom of the icon menu have now been moved to this floating icon bar over here. So that's things like the tape measure tool, the editor effects toggle, and the viewfinder menu. What's more on this side is that rather than the admittedly somewhat confusing click-click system to bring objects into the scene, now you can really intuitively just click and drag from the icon itself onto the scene. Now you have the object. That works for any object you want, including cameras, lights, and so on. If at any point in time as you're dragging it you decide, hey, I don't really want this object, you can just move your mouse back over and release, and it'll be gone in the back end. Now, additionally, as a quality of life improvement, for objects that you can customize the material over here, rather than having to customize the material and edit it in the actual object properties by clicking on it and opening up a menu, now you can just go to the material inside the content library and just drag it directly onto the object to change that material. This is much more intuitive and more in line with Unity and Unreal Engine. That just allows you to logically apply that material. And if you want to edit the material, you can right-click and click Edit Material to open up the same material editing window that we had before. Now, moving on to the right-hand side, I'm sure you'll notice this difference is that rather than the two tabs that were there previously for switching between the scene outline and the object properties, now they are stacked on top of each other, so you can really helpfully access both the scene outline as well as the properties below. But you'll notice that the transform options, so position, rotation, scale, as well as the two default options for timeline and path editing, are no longer visible. That's to keep it tidy when you're working with a lot of different objects that have different properties, but they're always accessible with this little drop-down menu over here. So you can close and hide them, or show and hide them, depending on what you're looking for at that moment. This just makes it much more intuitive to rapidly switch between lights and cameras and editing their properties as you need to. Now, up at the top of the editor, you'll see that some of the options that were previously on the right side were moved over to the left, so for saving and the scene selection menu. But more importantly, the floor plan mode is no longer part of stage mode. It's now its own mode up at the top, so you can switch now between stage, floor plan, storyboard, and shoot. Additionally, shoot mode has been changed a little bit, so now the menu that was previously on the right-hand side has now been moved over to the left, just to keep it more in line with storyboard mode and stage mode, respectively. And of course, you can resize this menu by clicking and dragging the bar in the center of the two menus. And that is basically everything new in this release. I hope this overview served as a good introduction to both to the platform as a whole, as well as for existing users to kind of jump back in after this migration to its new home. Again, an overview of that will be coming in an email blog update shortly. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.